Imagine you or a loved one has just been diagnosed with a fatal illness and they are in excruciating pain constantly. The doctor diagnoses them opioids, but they don't want to take opioids because opioids are highly addictive, and in the chance that they survive, they don't want to be addicted to that kind of substance. This can happen to anyone, can happen to you, can happen to your loved ones. Unfortunately, it has happened to my family. 2 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with a rare neurodegenerative disorder, and she was faced with this issue. The solution for her and many other Americans is THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. Throughout this speech, I will persuade you that the original illegalization of marijuana was unethical, the common arguments against legalization, and the benefits that it causes and gives to its patients. First, explain how was that legalized in the first place. According to Huffington Post, in 1929, Harry Anslinger was put in charge of the Department of Prohibition. This was right after the prohibition of alcohol had stopped because it was a ginormous failure for the United States. History.com claims that this is when the lumber lobbyists stepped in. Harry Anslinger was looking for another drug to lead a campaign against and to get it illegalized because his department had nothing to do. The lumber lobbyists came to him and said, "Hey, why don't you illegalize marijuana?" He thought that was a fantastic idea. He produced, according to History.com, a review to the American audience saying that if you smoke pot, you'll go through the following stages. 1, you will enter delirious rage. Next, you will have dreams of an erotic nature. Third, you will lose your power of connective thought. And finally, you would enter insanity. Today, we know that's not true. We know that was unfounded and had no medical basis. You might be asking yourself, well, why would lumber lobbyists be against marijuana? And that has a simple solution. Huffington Post writes that hemp can be used as a cheap alternative to lumber. It can be used as the same functions but grown for cheaper and manufactured cheaper. Therefore, the lumber companies would lose a lot of money because people would go for the cheaper product because it's easier to make and it was about the same as lumber. So they would lose money. So they sought refuge in the United States government to get it illegalized to maximize their profits. Now that I told you why it was illegalized, I'll now share and disprove the common arguments against medical marijuana legalization. One of the most common arguments is that marijuana is a gateway drug. And for a long time, this was taken as fact, until recently, where new studies have came out and have actually found it to be the opposites. According to drugfree.com, the Massachusetts Center of Cannabis Care has actually been conducting research studies. They are taking those who are addicted to opioids and giving them marijuana to strain off of it. Dr. Gary Whitman, who works with them, has been conducting these trials. According to drugfree.com, out of the 80 patients that they gave this treatment to, only 60 got through and never returned to opioids. You might be saying to yourself, oh, well, this is only 75% success rate. The most common way to treat drug addiction is the drug benzodiazepine, which only has about a 50% success rate, which is a lot lower than 75%. And benzodiazepine is extremely addictive and can actually act as the same effects as opioids. Another common argument is that marijuana is bad for you if it's inhaled through your lungs. While this is true, and any substance inhaled through your lungs is bad for you, it's not nearly as bad as tobacco. Harvard Health conducted a research study and a paper through UCSF that simply compared the effects of tobacco to marijuana. They found that the more you use tobacco, the more you're inhibiting your lungs capacity, and your lung power. They also found through prolonged use that there is no adverse or long-term effects of marijuana with recreational use. That means twice a week you're not going to lose your lung function as long as you do that for under 25 years, unlike smoking. So in layman terms, the United States government is legalizing a substance that causes more harm to your lungs than a substance that they have as a class 1 drug. Now that I told you the common arguments against medical marijuana legalization, I will now tell you the benefits. According to Harvard Health, the most common way in common use for medical marijuana is for pain relief. This is due to the THC within the marijuana helps combat pain. But not only pain, it also combats nausea, weight loss, PTSD, and glaucoma. It can help a lot of people in a lot of ways, and these are because of the two active ingredients within marijuana, CBD and THC. Healthline reads that CBD acts as a calming effect to calm its patients, useful in glaucoma and PTSD, while the THC inhibits nausea reactors and pain reactors, so that can help with your nausea, your weight loss, and of course acute pain. While it does not deal with chronic pain such as after surgery pain and broken bones, it can deal with long-term pain. Throughout this speech, I told you why was it legalized, the common arguments for it, and the benefits that it gives to its patients. I hope it's easy for you to see now that medical legalization is imperative to some people's well-beings. It is their only option, and it's unfair for the United States to have it illegalized. I'm not calling for recreational use. I am calling for medicinal use to help those who are in excruciating pain keep away from pain, so they don't have to get addicted to opioids and lead to the crisis that we have in the United States. I hope that by the time you and your loved one have a chronic disease, that this is legalized so that you can be more comfortable within your twilight years. However, if it's not, I urge you to go to your congressman and tell him that you believe that it should be legalized within your state and the entire country.